What's going on, everybody? This is Catfish on Ice. This is episode 154 with Chad Minton, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. We got the whole crew together tonight as we're going to call it the Doom and Gloom episode tonight. Kyle had the great idea to say we're dooming and glooming in this week's episode. So I thought, you know what? Let's just call it the Doom and Gloom episode tonight.
Yeah, we're not vibing. We're glooming.
We're not. We're definitely not vibing. We're the opposite of vibing right now.
Yep. You know who is vibing, though? Who's vibing is our friend Mike Twitter. He is in
Hello
here.
To anyone out there.
And someone else who is vibing, he brought this up. Connor Ingram in goal for the Arizona Coyotes.
Very happy for him.
Killing it.
He had a shutout going through like the second period. He was playing really well. Gave up a couple late goals, but I'm very happy to see Connor Ingram playing a big role for the Coyotes. And look at the Coyotes; they get their second win of the season. So,
in a handy fashion, is that how you say it? Handily win.
So now the Predators are just 1 point from being in last place right now. I'm just saying, it's a jumbled up division, though. It's so early. like we can't really focus on standings so much right now. But
we'll talk about it a little later, though.
Win from being in tied with Colorado for second in the division.
Yeah, exactly. So we can't focus on points and all that. But I will say, you would think that the team was getting sold off to a whole nother hockey market. The way Preds fans are feeling right now, they are just like so done with this team. They are already on the Fire Hines train. It only took 7 games. I think that's got to be a record.
Yeah, but I think it started happening. Yeah, you're right. 7 games, but
it's just
after the third loss, that's about when it really started ramping up. So,
but I don't even think. First of all, our whole opening face-offs tonight. We're presented by DraftKings, part of Hockey Podcast Network, episode 154. We appreciate you joining us. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please hit that subscribe button. It helps out a ton. And also give us a follow on Twitter if you're watching right now. We really appreciate all the follows, all the likes, and all the interactions you give us when you're watching our episodes live. We love all of y'all. We're going to really talk about this whole doom and gloom feeling, this dark cloud that's over the team right now. Are we overreacting? Do we need to take a step back? Or is there some reasons to really, really be freaking out right now? And then we're also going to kind of touch a little bit more on what happened against Philly. That game was if you were trying to show a new on the fence hockey fan, oh, this is hockey, this is the game I love to watch, that would be the worst game to probably show them.
Yeah,
it was a really hard game to watch.
Absolutely. Look at these really cool stats for our Nashville Predators. And then now look at the score.
Well, it wasn't even so just the Nashville Predators. They were the ones that actually made most of the scoring chances, even though they couldn't score.
That's what I mean.
The Flyers were in retreat mode that entire game. They got a couple quick goals, or they got that first goal in the first shot of the game, and then they just completely went in defensive mode, retreat mode. They weren't even really getting in the zone that much. They were just like, we're going to let Carter Hart carry us to the finish line tonight. So, really hard game to watch.
Boy, did he.
Yeah, he did. So we'll touch on that game a little bit. We're going to bring a new segment to you all tonight, something a little fun. We always like to spark the conversation around here. We're going to do a new segment called The First Word. All three of us are going to throw players on this team out to each other, rapid fire, and ask ourselves, what's the first word you think of?
This ought to be great.
About this particular player through the first 7 games of this season. And we have not shared which players we are going to say to each other, so we are going to be on the spot. Really, you got to be honest here. What is the first word you think of? I really wish Ben Harper was still on this team, because that would be the player I would ask Kyle.
Hey, man, I want him back.
But he's not on this team anymore, so I guess I can still do it. Ben Harper, Kyle, first word.
Yeet.
Talon.
Yeah, I love it.
Traffic cone. Right. I know that's 2 words.
But. So anyway, that's how that segment's going to work. It's going to be a lot of fun. While we're doing that segment, give us your first word for some of these players, and it'll be a lot of fun. We'll do our battle for the Central Power Rankings. Where do we have the Predators ranked now after just this losing streak continues? They're at what? They've lost 5 in a row now, I believe.
5 in a row. They are, if you count the overtime loss, they are one of two teams who've already lost 3 games, or longest losing streak, I guess.
Well, they've got 5 total losses on the season.
5 total losses, but longest losing streak.
And
so
just want to throw this out there. Their 2 wins are against the San Jose Sharks. So they've only beaten 1 team all year.
In another
and it's not a very impressive team, I might add. So
and
it's a big reason why a lot of people are upset right now.
And the second win against that team, they almost didn't win. So there you go.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I understand why everyone's ticked off right now. I totally do. But at the same time, we are 7 games into the season. There's only 1 team in the entire Central Division that is lost less than 3 games, and that is the St. Louis Blues, who has only played 4 games all season. So, I mean, is that really that big of an accomplishment? Dallas loses their 3rd game of the season. They just lost to the Boston Bruins. Thank you, Bruins. Thank you to Rich's Bruins for that.
Bruins they're on a heating, I'm telling you.
I send you my thank you letters to David Pasternak and that
Send them to
entire
him,
Bruins team. That goal was ridiculous. Kyle, did you see that goal from Pasternak?
No, I haven't seen it.
You please look it up for your own benefit. It was just
Oettinger.
Amazing. It's why we love hockey.
Oettinger didn't even flinch. It was
one of those types of goals where even a world-class NHL goaltender didn't see the puck coming. It was already behind him and past the red line before.
Yeah.
It's one of them type of goals. So
Pasta's on a tear this year, man. I'm telling you.
So my point is the Central Division, I mean, even the Avalanche have 3 losses already this season. So, I mean, you're seeing the Minnesota Wild, their misery loves company. Predators and the Wild, they're both huge disappointments in this division to open the season. But everyone's got losses right now. Okay, I did misspeak. Chicago's only got 2 losses on the year as well. So, my apologies on that. So, you've got 2 teams that got less than 3 losses.
Chicago with only 2 losses. Who would ever thought
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. They're not
biting in. It's not biting. Okay.
Nope.
You go
first, and then
I was just gonna bring up a non-hockey thing, real quick. I know we always like to chit chat before or whatever.
Yeah.
So we all like music. We're all fans of music or whatever. Have you all watched the documentary that's on Netflix about Woodstock '99?
Yes, I did. It's so good.
Is that?
Not watched it, but I want to.
You got to watch it. Is that not the most insane thing you've ever seen?
It's wild,
that's crazy.
Man.
If you
the part where Limp Bizkit goes on stage and they ramped up the crowd and got him even more angry.
Yes, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers did the exact same thing.
The toilets weren't working. They were charging $12 for a bottle of water in $19.99 or $2,000 or whatever. Just crazy. And literally the whole crowd turns on Woodstock.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look into the psyche of the angst-ridden 18 to 23-year-old male,
oh my gosh. And it was the grunge era. And it was the grunge era, man. Think about all the artists who were playing. Korn completely set that crowd on fire and got them crazy. It was that whole documentary is amazing. Yeah, I highly recommend it to anyone.
It was
eye-opener. I love documentaries.
Yeah, I actually watched some of it when it was on. You could do pay-per-view or something, or I don't remember. But I remember when it happened, and just going back and watching it now is unbelievable. So I highly recommend it. Anybody who wants a little huge deal. But man, it's scary. It's really scary if you just watch the whole thing.
Just looking at it, if you would have been what would you have done if you were in that crowd and with all that going on? I mean, crazy stuff. Yeah. I've also got a story. I got a little bit of a funny lighthearted, let's get everybody kind of cheery before we start talking about Doom and Gloom Nashville Predators. So, first of all, I don't know what your grocery store of choice is, but mine is Publix. I love Publix. I've never met a disgruntled employee at a Publix. They're always so happy. They treat you like family, yada, yada, yada. So I'm in the Publix line this morning, just picking up a few things in the morning. The line's not very long. And little store clerk who's checking everybody out. She's in this great mood. She's got a great personality, and she's checking out the person in front of me, and she gives him his receipt. She goes, "You saved $3 by shopping at Publix today." Like, that's like what they're supposed to say, I guess. And so it's my turn to check out, and my total was like $30-something. Bought a few things here and there. She hands me my receipt, and I kid you not, without missing a beat, she wasn't joking. This was what she was telling me. "You saved $0 by shopping at Publix today."
Oh, that's awesome.
I saved $0,
awesome.
and she proceeded to tell me I saved $0 by shopping at Publix. And I
now
like,
did
wow.
did you frequent Publix when you lived in Nashville, or did you go to Kroger? What was near you?
I went to Kroger. I did go to Kroger.
Yeah.
But I can actually walk. I can actually take something in my apartment and probably throw it into the Publix. That's how close I am to the Publix now. I literally walk right across the street to it. So Publix has my business now, just out of convenience, because I don't have to get in my car and drive to it.
Yeah. Hey, man.
But anyway, shout out to the Publix girl for making me laugh by telling me I saved $0 by shopping at Publix today.
Yep.
That was awesome. Let's get into episode 154 of Catfish on Ice. Kyle looks so amused down there. He's like, man, he could have at least bought something that could have saved you some money. All right.
Oh, I'll go in Kroger and I'll look for them yellow tags.
Heck yes.
Oh, I do miss Kroger. There's not Krogers down here, or if there are, I don't know where they're at.
I think they're usually
Kroger's
like
not down here.
Not
I miss Kroger.
mid south, type place.
This Publix doesn't have self checkout, so I have to. I do everything I can when I do everything I can when I go into like a Walmart or a Target. I do everything in my power to not have to deal with another human. I'd rather just use self checkout.
I'm with you
so
there.
I have to get in line and actually talk to people. So yeah,
you could always shoplift.
No, I won't go to that extreme, Rich.
All right.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it, gentlemen. All right, we're calling it Doom and Gloom here.
Omar, I saved $0 on beer at Bridgestone.
I believe that.
That's the truth.
I believe that. If anything, you spent extra money by shopping at Bridgestone for your beer. They need to give you a receipt where it says you spent an extra $5 tonight on beer by shopping at Bridgestone Arena.
You helped pay for this hockey.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I haven't really talked to you guys since the Flyers game. So I really want to get y'all's thoughts on how you feel about that. And also, how do you feel about the overall negative sentiment and dark cloud over this team? Is it understood? Are there serious issues that need to be fixed? Or are we overreacting a little bit? I want to go to Kyle and then we'll go to Rich.
Okay, the prevalent things I'm seeing recently is fire Hines.
Shocker.
Stop being dumb is my reaction to that. That one's it's a bit much. He was head coach when you had 3 players set pretty much franchise records, or not pretty much, set franchise records last year.
For sure.
It's not that the guy can't coach. They're off to an extremely bad start, and I think basically the players need to own up to it too.
That's huge.
I can understand the doom and gloom, but it's not the time to be trading people. I'll get into one of the things I saw about trading somebody later on, but it's not the time to trade anyone or fire anybody. So take a breath, woo-saw a little bit.
Yes. Everyone, please take Kyle's advice on that. I mean, you would like it. People are freaking out like it's March and we're falling out of the playoff race or something. Like, I mean, like you said, take a deep breath here, everybody. And I get it. I think a lot of the reason why people are freaking out is the way we're losing.
Yes.
So you lose 2 games where you surrender multi-goal leads in the third period. That's going to get you ticked off no matter what. And then the Flyers game, I mean,
couldn't buy a goal.
It was one of those games where sometimes, you know what, hockey just isn't fair and it's not going to bounce your way. I'm not saying that
played a good
they
game
played their
and
maybe
got
their
goalied.
They might have played their best complete game of the season. And it was so hard to watch. Like, I just wanted to rip all my hair out, what little hair I have left. Like, it was just so hard to watch.
For sure. Somebody's got construction going on at their house or something.
Are we okay over here?
I don't know.
I knocked something off there a second ago.
I heard a weird noise.
So, Rich, what are you thinking? Are you kind of with Kyle here on we should probably pump the brakes a little bit? Why are we freaking out so much here?
I am with Kyle. I've obviously perused Facebook, Predators Facebook, as well as I know Kyle does as well. And it's Fire Hines, Fire Poyle. I haven't seen anybody wanting to get rid of anybody trade wise or anything yet, but I must have missed that one. But
that was on Twitter.
Oh, okay. People do need to pump the brakes a little bit. Believe all three of us super disappointed right now. It sucks.
So hey, I'm about to share.
Being a Predators fan right now,
guys. I'm about to share a stat with you. I just looked this up because I was just curious. I'm about to share a stat with you guys that's going to blow your mind, and it's also going to really, really, really just tick you off. Okay, so if you just look straight up right now at the goals per game, ranking the teams right now, the Predators are 31st in the league at 2.29 goals. That's not the whole stat, but they're 31st. And just straight up goals per game, 2.29. They're only leading the San Jose Sharks in that category. Go back on over here and look a little bit deeper, dive a little bit deeper, and look at the rankings for expected goals for in all situations according to Money Puck. You want to know where the Nashville Predators rank? 7th. How do you go from 31st to 7th in expected goals for? That Philly game was the perfect example. This team is getting opportunities to put the puck in the net and win some of these games that they've lost, and they just can't finish, or they run into really good goalies. I'm not making excuses for them, but that is a very, very telling stat right there. That's 7th. I did not expect them to be that high. I literally just looked at that stat just now. I thought they were going to be somewhere in the middle. They are 7th in the league in expected goals for in all situations.
That's
rough.
Unbelievable.
That is really rough.
So the Philly game, you watched it and you're just like, something good is going to happen. I just feel it. They're playing really good, and it just never, like Kyle said, they got goalied. Man, Hart was standing on his head and just couldn't get anything past him. And we know these dudes can shoot. It's just nothing was falling, and Hart was amazing.
Have you guys heard about the chatter about, okay, we expect John Hines to shuffle up the defensive pairings? I saw a lot of that today. And I want to get from Kyle here what he heard from David Poyle when he appeared on 102.5 The Game today, because I didn't get a chance to listen to that, and I want to hear what he has to say about that. But on the flip side of this, you're getting a lot of defensive breakdowns as well. And it proves here from Money Puck, the Predators are 2nd worst in the league right now in expected goals against. So, they're getting opportunities to score, but they're also giving their opponent plenty of juicy chances to score as well. So that's probably your biggest issue right there. Kyle, what did David Poyle have to share today about all this on 102.5 The Game?
David came on and basically said what I said there a minute ago about they're 7 games into an 82-game season. It's not time to freak out yet. He addressed the Hines stuff and said, it's on the players and it's on him too. You can't blame just one facet of the organization for the failures. So he didn't put all the blame down the road. He said it's got to be shared throughout. He even mentioned himself about maybe changing the defensive pairs and some of the lineups and everything else. He did say he was not ready to call anybody up from Milwaukee yet. He said it's going to happen. It's going to have to happen because there will be injuries and whatnot and anything else. But looks like he's more content to roll with it at the current moment.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm seeing chatter about I'm seeing chatter real quick about Ryan McDonough being moved down to the 3rd pairing. I get it because you want a veteran on each pairing, and you want to obviously something needs to be retooled here. but just psyche-wise, Ryan McDonough on the third pairing is just – we would have never even – when we first traded for him, we would have never, ever thought Ryan McDonough on the third pairing. But they're looking for ways to protect Jeremy Lauzon because it's going to be Jeremy Lauzon for a little bit because Mark Borowiecki took that. Mark Borowiecki took that really, really scary hit. And so he's going to be out for a while. I want to see who they end up calling up to fill in on defense here, even if they're a healthy scratch. They're going to have to call up somebody to play, to be in that extra role, be that extra player. Rich, what are you thinking about that? The thought of Ryan McDonough being on the third pairing and just all this other stuff about lineup shuffling and stuff.
Well, the thing Kyle said about you can't pin all the blame on Hines, and the players are, they're definitely the ones you need to look at them, if anybody, first right now. It's not like Hines draws up on the chalkboard, hey, go out and have a defensive breakdown and cause a 2-on-1 breakaway. Like, the players just aren't executing. They can't get their shots, or they are getting their shots. Actually, they just can't get it in the fall. And then the thing about McDonough is it's really weird, but like, I don't really see what other choice they have at this point. And I think someone on Twitter, might have been you, Kyle, I don't remember, said, does that mean Ekholm's going to move back to his natural position? How are they going to do that? I would assume yes.
Well, what Robbie Stanley shared today, he said Preds are going to be switching up the D pairs this week, and he has Yossi and Fabro on the top pairing, Ekholm, Carrier, McDonough, Lauzon.
Yeah.
That gives you a veteran on each line. That's kind of the whole thinking behind that.
It makes sense. The McDonough Ekholm experiment isn't really working out too well so far, but we are only 7 games in.
When you add new players to the team, you're going to have growing pains. You're going to have some trial by error. We're seeing some of that.
Yeah, and you asked Ekholm to move to, the right side or whatever. So
I'm encouraged. I mean, it gets no easier. If anything, it gets even tougher because now we got to play the St. Louis Blues. In the next game.
Yeah.
So, and then you get Washington after that. So the NHL schedule is unforgiving, and you've already dropped some games against teams that you thought you should beat, and you should have beaten. You should have beaten LA. You should have beaten Columbus. Columbus was even worse. That Columbus game, I'm going to have nightmares about that all season.
That one was
bad. They just completely fell apart.
Yeah.
In that game, and let Columbus just do whatever they wanted.
The Philly loss wasn't ultra surprising. I mean, Philly's playing really well, unexpectly, but
they were the better team though. The Preds were the better team. It was just reflect on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. The Columbus game was heartbreaking to watch. It's just ridiculous. Just no reason for that.
So I agree with both of you guys on the whole doom and gloom thing. In the moment, watching them lose these games, I'm just like everybody else. I am ticked off. I'm really losing patience with this team, especially considering another reason why I think it's really amplified right now and people are just so upset is because they got their hopes up after this offseason. Like even the most negative fans in this fan base were starting to come around and say, you know what? This team might be pretty good. And then they were drinking the Kool-Aid. They were reading all these preseason predictions, saying, oh, Preds are a sneaky pick here. They could do some special things. And obviously it hasn't worked out so far at all.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at the overall makeup of the first 7 games, you might as well have the Predators as 0-7 the way people feel right now because their 2 wins are against the San Jose Sharks. No one's going to write home about that.
No. And, I mean, we all 3 had really high expectations. I drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And it could still work out. I mean, that's the whole thing is it could still be just fine. Just as easy as they've been on a 5-game losing streak. We know we see this in hockey all the time. They can turn around and win 5 games in a row or get points in 5 straight games, and suddenly everyone will be fine. Like that's why I think that we are just – I think people have just lost their patience with this team. There's no patience with this team anymore.
No
patience. There's no margin for error. The leash is so short with so many of these fans, especially the ones who have been with this team for a long time and been cheering for this team. They're sick of losing in the playoffs. They're sick of losing in the first round. They're sick of having the same general manager. They blasted the John Hines hiring when it happened, and so they're sick that he got a 2-year contract over the offseason. And it's just so the patience is so thin. So they jump on any chance they can get to really be upset. When in all reality, if you take a step back and look at it, it's not any reason to panic right now.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to be upset, wait till December. Wait till the beginning of January. If they're still playing like this, then you can have every reason to be upset if you want.
And I said this the last episode. I'd rather them get this out of their system now than go through this type of thing in March.
Yeah.
When they're clinging on to a playoff spot and then they lose it at the end because they go on this ugly 5-game losing streak or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what happened last year. They played 3/4 of a season. They were incredible. And then the last part where it counted, not so incredible. So maybe they're going to do it backwards.
If somehow this team misses, God forbid, this team misses the playoffs this year and they miss it and they miss the playoffs by like 2 or 3 points, or let's say they end up in the wild card and have to play the Avs in the first round again by 2 or 3 points. Like there is a 2 or 3 point margin of being in the top 3 and avoiding the Avalanche in the first round. They're going to go back and look at the 2 games against they're going to go back and look at the Kings. They're going to go back and look at the Blue Jackets game. And they're going to think, if you just would have shut it down and won those 2 games, we wouldn't be in this position. I can already see it now. I can see it in my crystal ball.
Think of the big, huge – you had a 2-goal lead in both of those games and you blew it. That was 4 points you left on the table.
I can promise you people have that in their circle, and they're going to go back to it. They got it bookmarked, and they're ready for it. They got it holstered.
Absolutely.
They're ready for it.
That was funny what you said about we mentioned David Poile. He actually got some accolades for his 3,000th game as a general manager. And the first thing someone put on Facebook was like 3,000 games, no cups, whatever else, just like totally crapping on it. And I'm like,
Here is another really major issue with this team. Through the first 7 games, the Predators are getting outscored 10-3 in the third period.
That's ugly.
3 third period goals in 7 games is really, really bad. You got to show up in third periods. You have to.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it. And they're not only are they not doing it, but they are Swiss cheese in the third period right now.
Yeah. Letting in
can't do that.
I was seeing all the tweets today from the media at Preds practice saying, "Oh, they've ramped up the intensity, yada yada yada." I'm like, it's practice. Like, spare me. They better have. I mean, if their intensity is not racked up every practice, then there's a problem. So I don't want to hear about it being ramped up today. Like, I know they're just doing their job. I love all of the media. Like, I'm just saying, like, they work hard and they're just telling us what's happening. But I don't care that the intensity was high. Do it in the third period. That's when all matters. That's when I'll care.
Are neither of you going to say we're talking about practice? I mean,
we're talking about practice.
Practice.
I think Allen Iverson said practice 27 times or something like that. But he can't hold a candle to how many times John Hines and David Poile and everyone says identity. They can't hold a candle to that. And that's all I've heard. It's all I've heard for the past week.
The players.
All I've heard for the past week, man.
It's like it's like what the Ted Lasso has the poster everybody on his wall of the Predators.
Where he points up to it.
But it says identity.
Yeah. Did anybody? So we all know about our good friend Landry, who obviously he can't stand John Hines and all that. Did you see his really hilarious tweet about the folding chair?
I did not.
I saw it.
So like the fold up camping chairs that everyone has, like you take it to a campground and like it has a little cup holder and it folds perfectly. So Landry tweets, brand new for Preds fans, the folding lawn chair. It folds faster than the Preds in the third period, lightweight like the team's checks, and it's never scored on the power play either. Get yours today.
Wow.
And it's a Preds fold-up tour. So Landry's bringing the heat already.
Yeah, that started about game 4, I believe.
I think it started before they dropped the puck this year.
When they were at that second loss in a row, I think that's when all that started.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be fine.
It's crazy.
I will say, though, I really wish we weren't playing the Blues the next game because I don't think that's the best team to be playing right now. But, you know, hockey's a weird sport, and I know the Predators are ticked off right now, and I know they're going to come. They're going to come into that game, and as long as they can duplicate what they did against the Flyers in terms of creating chances and try not to give up a goal on the first shot of the game, surrender, that would be a start.
Yeah.
You fall behind 1-0 on the first shot of the game. I mean,
yeah.
So I gotta think this team's luck's going to turn around a little bit when it comes to these chances they're generating, and they're just not figuring out ways to score. I gotta think their luck's going to turn around a little bit.
I don't see any way it doesn't.
Yeah,
But-
it can't get well. It can, but
But I do got to tell you, this team's will and their mental fortitude is really going to be tested because it's really easy. These guys are humans, and I'm sure they're hearing all the outside noise. I'm sure they're frustrated. They know that they've surrendered a couple late leads, and then they know that they did play a really good game and they couldn't score on Saturday against the Flyers. So this team's going to be ticked off. Are they going to use that as fuel to their fire and figure out a way to beat the Blues on Thursday, or are they going to let this get even worse and are they going to tighten up? Are they going to tense up? Are they going to hold the stick a little too tight? Are they going to do things that are going to force even more unforced errors? Let's hope that does not happen.
We're back to when they get a little adversity, it just crushes them. Back to that. We thought we'd put that to bed last season. You know, they had that swagger about them, and if they got down a goal or two, they just climbed back in it, and did what they had to do. But I guess that was 2019. The 2019 Preds have snuck back in, and they get in a little bit of a hole or some adversity, and they just cannot rise to the challenge and climb out of the hole. So don't like that. Don't like that at all. Thought we were over that, but no.
Well, I mean, so in the Flyers game, Preds had 27 shots on goal through the first 2 periods, only managed 5 shots in the third period.
That's insane.
So, and I remember that, and I remember seeing that, watching the game. I remember that third period. It lulled you to sleep. It was so hard to watch. Like, I love hockey, and it was so hard to watch that game. It was so boring. And in that third period, the Predators could not muster anything. It was almost like all their gas was let out of the tank in the first and second period. In that third period, the wind was out of their sails. They had nothing left. Flyers played keep away, And so even though the Preds did score a power play goal, again, it's another garbage goal from Matt Duchene. No offense to Matt Duchene, but both of his goals this season are garbage time goals. So where is Matt Duchene? And Kyle, you've shared the image of the milk carton, and it's perfect. Have you seen these three? Yeah, I don't think it's fair that you're putting Granlund on there, though. Granlund's got 6 assists on the season.
And Granlund's also played an immense amount of freaking minutes because he's out there on every single penalty kill.
Yeah.
It's like –
for sure.
Well,
I don't think people realize how much is on his shoulders.
In the Flyers game, the Flyers only got 2 power plays. So you think, oh, okay, maybe the Preds corrected it there. But they still found a way to lose.
Yeah. Just the on paper looked good. Just couldn't translate.
I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, and I might eat my words for this. I feel like there's going to be a big response and a big win on Thursday against the Blues. I feel it. I feel good about it.
I hope you're right.
We see this happen all the time where a team's feeling down and out, and you're going into a matchup, and you're like, oh, wow, we're going to lose this one. The way this team's playing right now, we're going to lose to the Blues. You see it all the time where teams get up off the mat and they figure out a way to get a win, an impressive win. I got it pegged right now. I'm calling my shot. Thursday, the Preds get their first quote unquote impressive win of the season. And I think
Awesome.
they're going to be at home. I think they're going to come out really high energy. They're going to get back to their game, even if that means penalties. I know I hate to say that, but they are who they are. And I said this a lot last year when they were leading the league in penalties. This team is who they are. Who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They can't pretend to be something they're not, because I think that's going to make them even worse.
Yeah.
They can't play timid. They can't play like, I know we want them to play smart, but at the same time, they can't go out there and try to be a different team than what they really are. And that team is a very highly physical, hard-hitting, high-energy team. So they got to do that on Thursday. They got to come out and punch St. Louis in the mouth. They got to do it.
They do. And that's another thing that kind of crept back in. Like we thought that they were over trying to be a team that they're not. Last season, they did a really good job of, who they were. You knew what you were going to get for the most part, but this year it's just not. It's like you said. I think they're timid a little bit, and they just can't. They can't find their way. But hopefully they can turn it around, like you said, on Thursday, and just that'll be something to build on, because I think they're going on a big road trip soon too. So
they got this CMA road trip coming up.
Yeah, they got St. Louis at home, then they got the Capitals at home on Saturday, and then they go on a 5-game road trip up in Canada. They got Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver as part of that road trip. So, I mean, it's the NHL schedule. There's never any days off. I mean,
no.
You got, and that's why they can't let this snowball much more. Like, they got to figure out a way to get a win on Thursday. And one thing that will worry me on Thursday, if they fall behind fast again, like they did against Philly, that worries me, because I just don't know if this team, if they fall behind quickly again, I hope not, but if they do, is this team going to like run away into the shadows and lose another really bad game, or are they going to respond to it? So we will have to wait and see, but it's about as big of an early season game as you can have.
Yeah, I would say
hard to say that they're that big right now, but they really truly are.
Yeah, it's weird to say. Yeah, you're right, for sure. I would say out of the next 2 games, they'd have a better chance of beating Washington than they would St. Louis, because Washington's not playing great either. So,
but we thought that Columbus was going to be a win.
You're
right, and it should have been a win. So I mean, I don't even like to look at matchups right now. I just
want little victories.
The Predators have a good team. That's another reason why people are so upset right now. On paper, you have no excuses on paper, and that's why I can't get on to David Poile right now. I got no criticism for David Poile. He went out and did his job over the offseason.
He did.
Absolutely did.
It's on the coaches and it's on the players. Now, John Hines can't go out there and play for them.
Yeah.
So is it more of a game plan problem, or is it a strategy problem? Is it more Hines' system that's not working for this team, or is it the players not executing? Personally, I think I lean more towards the players aren't executing.
That's what I'm going with, because they executed his plan last season. He had them playing well except for the last part of the season, so they're just not executing. And you had these guys who had these amazing seasons. Philip Forsberg was rewarded handsomely for a job well done, and none of them
very handsomely,
and they're just not showing up. So
let's move along here. Let's get to some. I know we got some comments rolling in here. We'll pull some comments up and see what we got here. We got to thank you everybody for commenting.
Yes,
let's see. Sure. Let's share Max Greenberg's comment here. He says nobody on this team is all around consistently reliable as Granlund, except Yossi. So he's kind of speaking on Granlund's consistency. I agree with that. Granlund's definitely and he's all around. I mean, he plays on the penalty kill. He lays the body. People forget that Granlund can hit. He's a physical player. So he's got 6 assists on the season, no goals. I've always said this. I wish Granlund would become a little bit more offensively minded as far as scoring, but I get it. He's the setup man on that line, feeding Duchesne and Forsberg. So we got it. That line's got to get cooking though.
Oh yeah,
it's got to get better.
That's the money line, man.
We were talking about how much beers cost at Bridgestone earlier from my Publix story. Mike Twitter says, I bought one beer at Bridgestone and some overpriced beers on Broadway pregame rooftop of Alan Jackson's. Oh, anytime you buy a beer on Broadway, you might as well take a second mortgage out on your house.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, God forbid, you order a double cocktail like Tito. One time I made the mistake of drinking a double Tito's and soda. That thing cost me like $30. And it was pretty much straight. It was like straight soda water. I'm like, okay, no more drinking for me on Broadway.
It's pricey, that's for sure.
Thank you, everyone, for the comments. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Mike Twitter says, "Congrats on your savings, Chad."
Yeah.
Congrats on my $0 of savings at Publix.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for the comments, everybody. Let's move along here to this brand new segment called First Word. And the way this is going to work, we want anyone who's watching and listening right now, tweet the show or comment on the live stream on YouTube. Tell us what your first word is you think of when we name some of these Preds players and the season they've had so far. Let me get it rolling here with my first player and the first word that both of you guys come up with here.
Okay.
This one's a tough one. And this one goes to Rich. And then I'll have a different player for Kyle. All right, Rich, first word you think about when I say Ryan McDonough in his first 7 games in a Preds uniform. Ryan McDonough, first word you think of.
Oh, gosh. I want to say
first word you think of.
Well, the first word that came to mind was disappointing.
Oh, ouch.
A little disappointed for sure.
All right.
I know he's not like an offensive defenseman. I don't know. I expected him to rally the troops a little more, and you know,
he's been a little invisible. I will say he's had some moments, especially on the penalty kill, where he's made a big difference.
Yeah.
He's blocked some big shots.
Yeah,
but he has been a little invisible. I will say that would be my word. Would be invisible.
Mike Twitter said, here's his response: unseen.
I said invisible, so me and Mike Twitter are on the same page.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, unless I want him to like rally the troops, give them some of those Stanley Cup stories, and like just get them fired up. I think that's what
unseen. Is that a word? Is that an actual word though? Unseen. Is that in the dictionary?
Sure. Yeah, that'll be an article.
Okay, it is. No, it's in the. It is. It's an adjective. Yeah. All right, we're testing our English skills here tonight, guys, with some of these words.
That might be a mistake.
But unseen is a word. Good job, Mike Twitter. It's in the dictionary. All right, I got one for Kyle here. Ooh, I can't wait for Kyle's response on this one.
I bet I know which one it is. Go ahead.
First word, Matt Duchene from Kyle Perkins.
2 words, milk carton.
No, it's got to be one word.
Extra. Oh,
extra.
Okay, I didn't see that
one. Because I think Matt is suffering from trying to do too much.
I think that's spot on, my friend.
I think he's pushing and trying to force something, and it's causing issues.
Extra.
I think that's
really good.
That's good for sure. That's a good one. All right, I'm gonna go. You ready?
I'm ready.
This one, I won't give Kyle 2 in a row, so I'm gonna ask Chad. Let's go with Nino Niederreiter.
I'm gonna go with expected. He's expected is the word I think about with Nino Niederreiter. He's done exactly what I expected him to do so far.
Yeah,
he hasn't been like overly impressive, like, oh my gosh, I can't get over it, like it's all I can talk about. But he definitely hasn't been bad. He hasn't been a disappointment. He hasn't been a letdown. I'm just going to say expected. He's done exactly what I expected and foreseen him to do when we signed him. He's scored some goals. He's been on the most consistent line of the team so far. He's done everything that I would expect him to do through his first 7 games in a Preds uniform. So I'll go with expected.
Mike Twitter says satisfied. would be
satisfied. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, this one's for you. This will be a good one. Are you ready?
Full show.
What's the first word you think of when I say the name Cody Glass?
Oh, but it's through his first 7 games. We're kind of like using these words for how they've played and how they've done
in the
this
season. I know we're all 3 really huge Glass fans.
Adequate.
There you go.
Oh,
That's good.
He's not been a superstar, but he's done exactly what they needed him to do. He's playing on both special teams. He's doing the job, basically. And honestly, that's about all I can ask from the guy at this point. Just do your job. You show up. You kill penalties. He looks really good on that second power play unit. There's not a lot that looks good on that unit, but he's doing the job. And as a young guy, I don't think that's a bad thing to have.
Not at all. Max Greenberg says encouraging.
That was one of the other words that I was bouncing around.
Mike Twitter said is behind the glass, one word.
It is.
Make it a hashtag. It is.
All right. I've got one more. We'll save this for the group, and then we will revisit this segment later in the season because it's kind of fun. All right. I got one more, and we'll all answer this one. And I asked myself this, and it was the first word I came up with. UC Saros. And my first word I think about when I think about UC Saros through the first part of this season is unlucky.
Unlucky.
Not saying he's perfect. Not saying he hasn't let some soft goals in because there's a few where I'm like, you know what? If you're going to be considered an elite goaltender, if you're going to be considered a top 3, there's been a couple goals that have leaked past him where I'm like, okay, you're still a great goaltender, but if we're going to call you one of the best, you got to make that save. But overall, the dude's been a victim of some really unlucky situations.
Oh, big time.
So that was my word. That's my word for UC Saros is unlucky.
Unlucky. I'm
going to put hoodwinked.
What'd you say? Hoodwinked.
Hoodwinked.
Because
is that urban?
Is that urban?
Let's see if that's in the dictionary or is that Urban Dictionary? No, that's in there. All right. Deceive or
his
trick.
Own team has hoodwinked him.
Yeah, he's been deceived or tricked by his own team, according to Webster's dictionary. That's what hoodwink.
That's a good one.
Is defined as hoodwink.
I'm going to turn my word into a hashtag hung out to dry. That's all one word when you do make it a hashtag.
Oh my gosh. All right, fun stuff.
Kyle, do you have any names? Did you come up with some?
Oh yeah,
I do.
Go ahead. We almost got off here without you saying yours.
So Chad, we'll start with you. Roman Yossi.
Oh.
I gotta come up with one word here. I'm gonna say vanilla.
That's
like
good.
Very just like ordinary almost, but for some reason I thought vanilla, and like that's so weird to say that about Roman Yossi because he's anything but that. He is a normal first word for Roman Yossi would be electric or it would be astonishing or just
glorious.
But I got to go with vanilla. He hasn't really stood out to me. He hasn't really. He's been there. He's been on the ice. He had 7 shots on goal against the Flyers, so he had some really good opportunities. But yeah, I got to go vanilla, and I hate to say that about Roman Yossi because I love that dude, and I know he's going to snap out of it and he'll be fine. He's got 1 point. He's got 1 point through 7 games, guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I have to keep refreshing the screen to make sure that's a correct stat.
Right.
He's got 1 point.
Omar said third period abandoned. Mike Twitter said quiet, which is good. Max Greenberg disappointing.
Yeah.
I
gotta go vanilla.
Yeah, I've seen him try to do some of his normal Yossi stuff, like put the team on his back, and it just hasn't like panned out for him. So a little crazy.
My second word I would say is frustrated because I have seen it on his face. That dude, you can tell.
He is.
You can tell he cares, and all those players care. But it is eating at him, and he's going to do everything he can to get this team out of it. I know he will.
I still frustrated
totally trust him as a captain. It's 7 games. I know he's going to break out of it, but
he's been frustrated.
He's been very vanilla. Yeah. Been very vanilla.
Okay, so for Rich, I have Ellie Tolvanen.
That's a really hard one. That's a really hard one.
Gosh, that is a hard one.
Actually, use one word this time, and don't do the hashtag. I can't
do a hashtag? Okay.
No, it's got to be one word.
I'm going to steal your word and kind of say vanilla as well. Yeah.
No. If we're going to go ice cream flavor themes, I'll give Ellie Tolvanen mint chocolate chip.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
If we're all right. That's the next segment is going to be players as ice cream flavors.
Oh, I'm down for that. I love ice cream.
Mint chocolate chip is not, and the reason why I say mint chocolate chip's not for everyone, but for the people who love mint chocolate chip, they love them some Ellie Tolvanen. So
we're only
chocolate chip.
We're only 7 games in.
Normally we say these really like cheesy and dumb segments for the off season.
Yeah.
Now it's just for the depression season.
It's just to get us through it until the Preds start winning again.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Fun stuff.
I was expecting Tolvanen to just come out like on fire, and he's played good, just not.
I thought he did fine on the second line when he was playing with Dino and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really see what he did to get sent back down.
Well, that whole lineup shuffling that he did, was that for the Columbus game when he did that?
Yeah.
That was like,
I
made the joke before the game that he threw a bunch of names in a hat and just drew them.
Yeah,
But I will say, to Hines' credit, I thought Yakov Trenin really lived up to the second line in that Columbus game. He put up 2 points in that game, and I thought he gave a jolt of energy to the top 6. So it wasn't all terrible the way he moved around the lines, but just kind of weird to make that it's kind of weird to make that drastic of a lineup change this early in the season. But
it kind of didn't hurt my feelings to see them break up Sissons, Jeannot, and Trenin for a little bit.
No,
I don't know. I don't know if that time's passed or what, but I don't know. What do y'all think? You think did that hurt your feelings to see those guys get split up?
No, you've got to move on from something when it's not working.
You can't keep it together forever. Like the herd line's not going to be a thing forever. You got to make changes sometimes. You got to, and like I said, I think Yakov Trenin, at least for one game, looked really good on that second line. And so you've got that as an option now. You know that maybe in certain matchups, maybe if the matchup favors moving Trenin up there in that certain matchup, then I think they could re-explore that in another game in the future. He's an offensive player. They drafted him as a goal scorer. We know he has it in him. He has that unique combination of being able to hit and, lay the body out, but he can also score. So if you can spread that if you can spread what the herd line brings, if you can spread that across the whole lineup, we hate to break them up, but at the same time, if you can kind of get a little bit of that throughout the lineup, have Jeannot on one line that can do that. You have Trenin on one line that can do that. Sissons, that I can see where that might be able to work, and you can move forward with that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that they really need to get back to their playing gritty like they did last year. I think they haven't really done that much. Like some fights, I want to see some fights, all that stuff. So,
and let's circle back to Mark Borowiecki. We are so grateful that he seems to be doing fine and he's recovering. He sent out from his Instagram a picture with his kid and saying like, "Thanks for all the well wishes. I'm still responding to everybody." And that also had to be very hard mentally for that team. I'm not making excuses for him, but. I mean, that was a scary moment. I mean, he wasn't moving face down on the ice for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was one of those really like it wasn't like a big time hit. Like you see way worse hits in hockey all the time, where you're like, oh my god, how's that guy going to get up? And the guy usually pops right back up and starts skating. This was like a really his chin hit the boards at just the worst possible point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
That was a scary sight because his neck just rips back, and Boro's a tough guy, an exceptionally tough guy, and you just see him crumple.
That wood doesn't have any give.
And then they, you see them bring the stretcher out. You saw them bring the stretcher out almost immediately. You never want to see a stretcher come out. And they took all the precautions. Even the Philadelphia Flyers training staff came out and obviously assisted in this. It was a big deal. All the players were standing around. The Flyers players were extremely classy about it as well. Yeah. And then we were waiting for updates all throughout the game. That had to be really hard on his teammates and all those players to go out there and pick up and play this game, because that time, they didn't know what was happening with Boro at that point, and so that had to be really hard for them to play. So
it was cool. Carter Hart skated down to the other end while they were putting him on the stretcher. When they were putting him on the stretcher, when they were rolling him out, I was expecting him to be like a bloody mess, but it wasn't. It was just the way he hit his head or whatever.
I'm sure it was a concussion.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Most likely. And he said on his Instagram he was trying to avoid screens. Yeah. So that right there tells you pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
So,
and before that happened, he got a little bit of a brawl. It didn't end up happening because the guy fell down.
Mm-hmm.
But it was. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when Boro and the other guy, I can't remember who the other guy was that on the Flyers that he was going to fight, but when they went back to the box, they were like mutually respectful to each other, talking like, man, like because the fight didn't work out, they fell down too quick. Like the one guy fell down, but they were both kind of like mutually respectful to each other, like, oh yeah, that. Maybe next time we'll get each other. I mean, everyone respects Borowiecki, even his opponent. Even though he plays and he hits hard and he fights all the time, his opponents usually had the utmost respect for him. He's so respected in this league.
That Flyers player, he went down so fast because Boro grabbed a hold of him super quick, and just the force of him grabbing him, just he wasn't expecting it, I guess. I don't know.
No, he wasn't ready.
All right, guys. All right, let's move along here. It's Catfish on Ice. It's episode 154. Chad Mitten, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins are your hosts. And let's tell you about DraftKings. That's our sponsor, promo code THPN. You see it at the bottom of the screen right there. Hockey fans, it's finally time to hit the ice again, and thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you're in for the season of a lifetime. New customers can bet $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets if they win. So if you want to get some faith back into your Nashville Predators, you can throw down $5 on them to beat the Blues on Thursday. Or if you're really doom and gloom, you can throw your $5 down on the St. Louis Blues. Just don't tell anybody, because we'll ridicule you for it. But yes, that's how it works. It's that simple. $5 on any team to win their game, and you will win $200 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $200 in free bets if they do. That's code THPN at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See our show notes for details. If you're having a gambling crisis, need gambling help, there are ways in our show notes for you to contact someone to get help. And DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Promo code THPN for DraftKings. Also, if you're watching on Twitter right now, we have the link right in our episode on how you can go right to DraftKings, sign up, and use our promo code. Let's do our battle for the Central Power Rankings. Where have we put the Predators, guys? Let's let Kyle do his rankings first.
It's depressing. Because I don't want to admit I'm as wrong as I was about one of them. The Stars are hot.
They did lose to the Bruins tonight.
Yeah, but still, they've been on one.
They look good. They look real. Even in their losses, they've looked really good.
I would go Avalanche, Stars, Blues, Nashville.
Oh, you got the Preds fourth. You still got some faith in them.
He's thinking about it.
I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I mean, that's
I know
fine.
You're not. Yeah, I'd leave them fourth. Then the Wild, then the Blackhawks, and then the Coyotes.
So you got the Jets last?
Oh, I had a brain fart. The Jets haven't been terrible, but they're not good. I would put them right behind the Wild.
Yeah, they're very middle of the road. All right. Rich, where do you have your rankings?
So I'm going to start from the bottom up, and this is just based on events that have happened in the past week. I have Nashville at 8th.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You've completely.
I'm sorry. I can't. I'm disappointed, and it's ridiculous. There's no reason why they are where they're playing the way they should be. So I put them there. Arizona next. Big win for them tonight. Beating
Connor Ingram in net, too.
Connor Ingram in net. Just the feel-good story. Beat the Blue Jackets 6-3. Then 6th, I've got Minnesota. 5th, Winnipeg. They're kind of interchangeable with a couple of other teams. Chicago is actually playing really well, and they're about a minute away from beating Florida Panthers. What? And then I have St. Louis at 3, Colorado at 2, and then Dallas at 1, because Dallas is up until tonight.
Oh my gosh, I did not see that. I didn't see that Blackhawks score till just now. Yeah, if they beat the Panthers,
they're actually they are playing
4-2.
They are playing way above their on paper ability, is what I wrote down.
They really are.
Yeah. So
wow. All right.
Yeah. Good for them.
Cool.
Right.
I will go ahead and assume. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll go ahead and assume the Blackhawks are going to win that game. The Panthers do have their net emptied, and we see teams score all the time after they empty the net. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye on it. But either way, that's pretty impressive what the Blackhawks are doing. All right. I got to take that into consideration. All right. I'm going to go from first to last and go the different direction than what you went in. My first place team is still the Colorado Avalanche. I know they're 4-2-1. They haven't looked overly impressive like we're used to seeing them. Got a huge heavyweight matchup tonight against the New York Rangers, and they won that game in a shootout.
Yep.
But listen to this. The Avs had 44 shots, and the Rangers had 46 shots. So you want to talk about some incredible goaltending to only be a 3-2 – or there were only 4 goals scored if you don't count the shootout, obviously. There were 4 goals scored between the two teams, and they had nearly 100 shots on goal between the two teams. So what a goaltending clinic.
Absolutely.
Shesterkin with 42 saves on 44 shots, and his former backup, how do you pronounce his name, Georgiev? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah, Igor. I think Gorgiev or maybe
Gorgiev. Yeah, he was Igor's backup, and
yep.
So it was a battle of like former backup versus the starter, and they both just didn't disappoint. 44 saves for Gorgiev. So what a game there. But the Avs end up getting the 2 points. They win the game. So I got them still first in the division. I think they're still going to be the best team when it's all said and done.
Yep.
I've got the Blues in second place right now in my power rankings. They, a lot of people were interchanging in their preseason rankings. They were interchanging St. Louis and Minnesota as the second best team to the Avalanche. A few people were throwing the Predators in there as a trendy pick as the second place team. But overall, it was pretty much St. Louis. A lot of people were picking St. Louis. So I've got them there. They're 3-1 to open the season. They've looked pretty good.
Yep.
I got Dallas in third, even though they lost tonight. All of their, they've lost to some really good teams, and they played pretty well against Boston. I watched the majority of that game tonight. They looked pretty good.
They did.
It's just Boston's on a heater right now, like Rich said.
Absolutely, they are.
So no one's going to fault Dallas for losing to the Bruins, and that was a close game. So I got Dallas third, and then I've got. These Blackhawks are throwing me off here, man. They're throwing my whole rankings off.
You would have never thought
I had it all
up that high.
Dude, I thought I had it all figured out here, but actually, I'm gonna put Winnipeg at fourth.
Oh, okay.
Winnipeg's got some impressive wins so far this year. They've beaten some good teams. No, they've beaten some good teams. They just they shut out the Blues 4-0. That's got to count for something.
Yeah.
They beat Colorado. They beat Colorado 4-3, and they beat the Rangers 4-1. So their 3 wins are against Colorado, New York, and St. Louis.
Yeah,
got to say that's pretty impressive, guys. So I got Winnipeg fourth.
All right.
I've got Chicago fifth. I can't believe I just did this.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And I got Preds sixth.
All right.
I've got Minnesota 7th, and I got Arizona 8th.
All right.
Fair.
Yep. Mike
But
Twitter
it was hard this week, though. It was hard for me to sort that out.
Mike Twitter said he doesn't disagree with me on Nashville. So
I can't put the Preds at 8th because
I don't know. If you go by their body of work from the past week, it's been pretty bad. So
it's been bad, but if you really dig deep into what's going on here, they can't possibly be that bad. And I think it's going to turn back in their favor. So
all right, maybe I'm just mad. Maybe it's just
I think you're just taking out all your anger on the Preds. So you know what? You just said, screw it. You're getting 8th place.
Yep. You've made me angry.
Wait a minute. I think in all the battle for the Central Power rankings we've done, going back to last year, you've never ranked them last, have you? Is that a first?
Probably.
You're that angry tonight, Rich.
I am.
Oh my gosh.
They should not. There's no reason for this. There's no reason for this at all.
There's no reason for this.
And it was tough to put Chicago at 4, I'll tell you that. But they're playing good, man. You can't fault them. You might not like them, but you can't fault them for it. So.
All right, guys. That's our battle for the Central Power rankings. Let us know. We're not going to even do clutch performers this week because we got no one to pick. There's 2 players that if you put a gun to my head and made me pick a couple players from the Preds,
good luck.
I would pick Yakov Trenin.
Okay.
Because I thought he responded well to getting lifted up to the second line. Yep. So I would say Yakov Trenin. Tanner Jeannot had a really good game. He had a 2-point game as well. I'm out of choices after that. I got no one else. There's no one else to pick.
Carter Hart.
It stops with those 2 guys. Yeah, we'll say Carter Hart. Clutch performer.
Carter Hart.
This is a bad trend when we're starting to pick players from the other team. From clutch.
Kyle had Ottinger after the Dallas debacle.
Ottinger and Marchment.
We keep picking the other team's goaltender here. This is not a good trend at all.
It's not good. It's not
clutch
good.
performers is in the crapper right now. That's what that segment is. It's in the crapper.
There's always next week. We'll see what happens. I think some good is going to come, like you said. So
this segment's not going to survive the rest of the season if it goes this route. Like we're just going to have to throw the whole segment in the garbage because it's going to be pointless.
Yeah, if we keep awarding it to the other player, the other team. Yeah, it's not.
All right, everybody. We got one more quick thing. We're going to do some NHL quick hitters I'm about to throw out there. First, how about Phil Kessel getting the Iron Man award? That was pretty cool.
That is good. Good for him, man.
Who would have known that eating all those hot dogs, you could still play 990 straight games?
Phil Kessel, Iron Man, noted hot dog lover.
That is really crazy when you wrap your mind. That is really crazy when you wrap your mind around it, though. 990 straight games as a hockey player. Yeah. All the dings, it's not like he's a finesse player. That dude takes a lot of hits.
Do you remember that one game where he started and then left because his wife was having a baby or something?
Yeah.
That was last season, I think. Yeah, that's crazy.
I still hold out hope that he'll play one season with the Preds. I just want to see him in a Preds uniform. It would be so cool.
It would be crazy.
The memes would write themselves for Kyle. He
He
would have so much material that he wouldn't know what to do with it all.
I know. His mind would just be explode.
Oh, it'd be easy.
Easy.
So Kessel stands alone in the record books as the NHL Ironman. Played for the Penguins from 2015-16 and 2018-19 without missing a regular season or playoff game, and helped Pittsburgh capture a pair of Stanley Cup wins. 990 total games in a row.
Yep. Crazy.
We already brought up, but I still had it in my NHL quick hitters. Connor Ingram ends up getting his first win with the Coyotes tonight. Only his second career win.
Oh, wow.
So,
I didn't realize that.
In the NHL. So
6-3 was the final of that game.
He ended up letting some goals in later in the game, but overall he started the game really strong for the Coyotes. I can't wait to watch him and see how many games he ends up actually playing for the Coyotes. It's going to be – I think it was – I said it from the start. It was a great spot for him to land there.
Yeah, because they need help, and that was going to be the best place for him to get opportunities to play. So it's awesome.
And then it hasn't taken very long for Barry Trotz to be brought back up among coaching circles. Yeah. Not so much linked to the Predators, but he's definitely being linked to just coaching in general. Like eventually, he is going to get back into coaching.
For sure.
It's just a matter of where he lands.
Someone in our chat said something about he wants to coach for an original 6 team.
That's the article I'm seeing here. So it says the headline here from NHL.com: Trotz not ready to coach again. Original 6 team could spark some intrigue.
That's cool. I think that's awesome.
They asked him. He's quoted in the article here: original 6 for me. I have never coached an original 6 team. He told the Cam and Strick podcast Tuesday. That would intrigue me. Those teams always intrigue you, but the Canadian teams, you're under the microscope. You sort of are in New York too. So, yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't like that the Chicago Blackhawks and the Detroit Red Wings are 2 of those teams. That would be really hard for me to see Trotz coach one of those teams. But I would be cool with him. I mean, I don't know if any of these teams are really looking for coaches necessarily, but
and he probably wouldn't want to go coach like the Canadians or anything. So, yeah, there's not too many options after you take those out of the mix. So,
I still baffles me that the Islanders fired him in the first place. But
yeah, it was crazy.
That was just really weird.
I think it's cool though if that's his aspiration to coach one of those teams.
But if he actually, like, let's say Hines gets fired next offseason, they just forego the last year of his deal. The Predators have such a bad season that their hand is forced and they fire John Hines. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if it were to happen and Trotz hasn't landed a job yet, you know how hard it would be for Trotz to resist coming back and coaching the Predators? He already loves Nashville. He loves this organization. He's really close with David Poile. David Poile would put the full court press on getting Trotz back behind the bench in Nashville. That's the only thing that would bring Preds Facebook back off the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty cool, but just don't see it happening. Just don't see it. Right. Stranger things have happened, I guess.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been episode 154 of Catfish and Ice. Thanks for all the comments on the live stream. We always love hearing from you. This has been your host, Chad Minton, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. We are all going to go get some sleep right now because
we're all tired, I think.
We're all in the Eastern time zone here, and all this doom and gloom talk about the Predators has made me sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it, everybody. We will see you next week for a brand new episode. Until then, stay safe and take care.
Say good night, Kyle.
Good night, Kyle.
Nighty-night.